First, the United Arab Emirates and Israel have agreed to normalise ties in a landmark deal brokered by the United States. Now, the two sides will be signing the agreement at the White House in the coming weeks. The UAE is the third Arab country to establish formal diplomatic ties with Israel. The Palestinian leadership, meanwhile, has rejected the deal, saying it signifies a betrayal to their cause. For more on this story, we can bring in our chief foreign editor, Rob Parsons. Rob, why has the United Arab Emirates agreed to this deal?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, first of all, this is a really big deal for the United Arab Emirates to take this step, to become only the third Arab state to do this, and effectively, smash whatever unity was left in the Arab world and on its position towards Israel. It really is a huge, huge step. Having said that, however, there's no doubt that in one sense, this only puts formality to a relationship which pretty much existed in any case, although nobody spoke openly about it. I think the key issues probably for the United Arab Emirates were Iran, shared concern with Israel and also Saudi Arabia, of course, on the position of Iran. The prospect that doing a deal with Israel would open the doors to closer ties with the United States, in particular the supply of weaponry, sophisticated weaponry that it couldn't get its hands on so long as it didn't recognize Israel. But also, the question of the annexation. This was at the heart of, I think, of United Emirates' decision to go ahead with this. They were pretty concerned, like the Saudi Arabia, that if annexation went ahead, it wouldn't just be the end of the possible two-state deal that everybody was hankered for so long for the Palestinians. It would bring chaos, violence to the Middle East again. I think it wanted to back away from that. So what it gets from this deal, I think, what the Israelis are calling suspension, but what in reality must surely be an end to the prospect of annexation. The Israelis are not going to pull out of this deal if it means jeopardizing this deal with the United Arab Emirates and the prospect further down the road of other Arab states recognizing Israel as well. Bahrain, for instance, seems to be quite a possibility, but the icing on the cake would clearly be recognition by Saudi Arabia. Israel knows 100% that if it pulls out of this deal and annexes the West Bank, any deal with Saudi Arabia would be thrown out. Possible deal with Saudi Arabia would go out of the window. Plus, there's the pressure from the United States as well. Israel would not annex the West Bank without the go-ahead from the United States. So the chances, I think, of Israel backing out of this deal are pretty slim. And the United Arab Emirates must recognize that as well. So, for them, although this has come with a lot of opprobrium from some members of the Arab world, and obviously from the Palestinians, but criticism from Turkey and from Iran as well, of course, the positives that come out of this clearly outweigh the negatives.
And very quickly, Rob, what's in it for the US President Donald Trump?
Well, this isn't the peace deal of the century, obviously, but that was slipping out of his grasp in any case. There was so much opposition to annexation around the world, and in particular, of course, in the Arab world and Saudi Arabia in particular. The Americans have been wanting to edge away from that in any case. It's not the big deal that Donald Trump has wanted, but it does give him a diplomatic feather in his cap just before the elections. Will it be decisive in any way? I suspect not. Will it play well to his base? Yes, of course it will. And for Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel, of course, this is a big, big triumph. He's going through really difficult times at the moment with the reaction to the failure of the Israeli government to deal competently with the coronavirus really weighing on Israeli society at the moment. This makes him look good. And, this is just months before he goes on trial on corruption charges. He needs something positive, and he's got it with this. For Israel, to achieve a breakthrough with another Arab state on this without making any concessions to the Palestinians on two-state is for him and for Israel a pretty big move.
Historic in itself. Rob, thank you very much for that. Rob Parsons reporting there.